record. All right. Cool. All right. So we got lesson 2 or meeting 2. Let's see, where is this thing you just gave me? Chat.
It's really it's really kind of hard for me because I never thought about classical Chinese like this, because it always comes, like, my feeling comes from modern Chinese. That's really a totally different background. Than if you have to dive into classical Chinese like this, it's just so, well, that's just natural if you know modern Chinese. But yeah. But the numbers are basically not the same in Chinese syllables, so that we just can talk about it. What there is. I hope I caught all of them.
The numbers?
No, the numbers, no, the syllables.
Oh, I see. Okay, yes, I'm looking at that too. So here we go. Cool. I just pulled them both up.
So it's graphically not very appealing, but I hope it's just clear what I want to convey.
Cool. Why don't you talk me through it, because I'm not entirely sure.
All right. Yeah, I now made up this three slot model, because I realized 4-slot model doesn't make any sense really. And you see the brackets. These say, or that the empty brackets say it's not necessary to have a consonant to form a syllable, and in front, and it's not necessary to have a consonant in the back of a syllable. So all these, not all of them, but some of the vowels, diphthongs, and the diphthongs, so diphthongs are also diphthongs. So the main thing about Chinese syllable is a vowel, and I think that's not much different from other languages, right? There's one example I thought of in French. You have oui, which means the sense of hearing, which just consists of vowels, a whole word just of vowels. And there's a word in Croatian, which is the name of a place, only consonants. Very fascinating. But these languages allow it, right?
Yeah.
But this,
yeah, that is interesting. I don't know how you make the sound without a vowel.
Yeah. All right.
So the order of this would be, like, in the Tibetan context, would be like prefix letter or root letter, and then the vowel, and then the suffix letter. And the suffix is either nothing, N, or NG.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you see the consonants, let's say the prefixes, these prefix consonants are quite many. And for now, I put them all in the pinyin transliteration. Later we can talk about the way Giles. Yeah, because it's more old school thing, and it's rarely used today. It's mainly used in Taiwan, but also not consistently.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, you may encounter them or the way Giles in some older literature. Yeah. So okay. All the consonants, just for pronunciation, are almost the same as in as you would have them in English. Maybe let's talk about the CH, SH, that part. That's zh, sh, sh.
And so that ZH is the zh.
Like in jungle.
Zh. Oh, okay. Zh.
Yeah.
All right. Write that down. Yeah. So all of these, like, sibilant sounds, this S-ish sound, S and sh, yeah, they sound very similar, but there's like there's a lot of them in Chinese. All right, so Z H. Jungle. Okay. G. G.
Mm.
Mhm. G.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
And then is the so the ZH, CH, and SH or and C, or is the CH included in this like collection of sibilant sounds? That's my window.
ZH.
So here, I'll put it in the chat. So like how many of ZH, CH, SH, Z? And then I guess maybe even the J, like, is that one included there too? There's a lot of similar looking sounds.
Yeah, actually the Q and the R is also kind of.
Of course.
Yeah. But let's say the first one of them has like a D in front. The second has like a T in front.
Okay.
And the SH is like in shout. Just feel like shout. Yeah. So from that, in this respect, Chinese pronunciation is not that hard actually, because a lot of sounds are just the same as you have it in German or English. Yeah. Then you have the Z, just the Z, the C and the S, which are just z, just without that. They're leaner, these syllables, just without the
And the same thing about the kind of starting on the D sound for the Z and the T sound for the C. Okay. Okay, so from the top.
Okay.
Z, D, Z, Ch, Sh, Z, Z, Z.
Yeah, it's not voiced. It's like
For which one?
and the last, just the S.
Just the S. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think that already sounded pretty good. I mean, of course, it's a matter of practice, but we can go over this a few times and then.
Yeah. Well, I think also like doing the practice with my flashcards is probably going to help me identify this song. Yeah. Cool.
But I think that will help you tremendously when we will talk about, and I will point it out from time to time when some characters meet each other in some way, when they have just one radical also different, but they may sound almost may sound the same. For example, pu and fu, because both are labial sounds. Pu, fu. Now F is a fricative, but anyway, it's very close.
Yeah.
And then you often just can infer what pronunciation it is, and it makes it way easier to look up the dictionary. And sometimes it even it makes it easier to put into the web or into that network of characters you already know. Right? In Chinese, I can tell you, Chinese people do the same way, because sometimes you have some super exotic last name nobody ever saw, and they just infer, all right, might be that one, because they don't want to show their ignorance about surnames. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
And most of these other consonants for starting are just the way I would expect to say them, like a B and a P, M. It's just B, P, M, F, D, T, No.
That sounds Cantonese, what you're doing there, actually. That sounds like Cantonese.
Cantonese. Okay.
Cantonese, yeah. It's like a very clear, like in Italian or German. Ba, pa, ma, ba.
And that like that vowel that you just said there, that would be like just a letter A, or is that like an E with a line over it, or ba, pa, ma? Would that be like MA or yeah, I can't get it to maybe. Is it like that? Meh.
Yeah, I pronounce it in the what is it? Yeah, in the second tone. Yeah, because I'm used to do that like this. Yeah,
The second tone is this like with the line over it.
by continuing, right?
Okay, yeah. Fa, ma, fa, da, ta, na, ga, ka, ha, ja, cha, sha, za, za, yeah, cha, sa, cha.
Not this one. That doesn't exist, but it's okay. You
Okay.
can't know. You can't know.
Okay, and then sha,
No.
cha. Yeah,
The rest doesn't exist. There's no sha, no ja, no cha, no ra, ra,
oh,
ja, ja. No, there's just a ya. But that's fine. I think, yeah. I mean, you can look up a table on your own where you find every syllable. But I just wanted to, I don't know, since you, as you said, you don't want to learn to speak. I just wanted to like give you this as a grid. You can lay over syllables, and you can see that's like this.
Cool.
I didn't write down which syllables actually exist, because it becomes quite messy when we wanted to start this.
Yeah,
not every combination is possible.
I see. So kind of similar to Tibetan in that way. Like, yeah. Okay.
So I don't know, yeah, certain things are just not. It doesn't sound right.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that makes sense. It would be bizarre if all of them worked. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not everything allowed in English too, right? There are some, I don't know, 3 consonants, for example, you have, and then there must follow a vowel, for example. I don't know when you can think of an English word having more than that.
Having a, well, I'm not sure offhand, but yeah. I'm sure that there are all kinds of weird things in English that I have no idea about because I don't think about it, you know? Just because it's my native language. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about that now, right now, but there are certain rules, certain sensitivities, I would say, some languages have that just don't allow that. I mean, in Russian, for example, there's the word knuch. They would have a T, a K, and then an N. Knuch, that means to weave, and it's just, if you don't, practice, it just sounds impronounceable.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a bit of I would say, the soul of a language that kind of, I don't know, is a bit touchy sometimes. It's interesting. But let's talk about that X, because that's a bit maybe difficult. The difficult is I don't know. Do we have an English word? Do you have an English word that has that sound? And it's just one thing.
It kind of sounds like chance to me, but without the voicing. Chance, yeah. Chan. But I mean, that's not a word.
Chance. Maybe somebody with some pronunciation disorder.
Yeah. or a Chinese person trying to speak English. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I got one very important word you hear all the time. Oh, no, not that one. That's the name of the Chinese president, and he
Oh, this
starts with
is Xi. Say it again.
Xi Jinping.
Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
I know him already.
yeah.
I just haven't seen it in Chinese.
And you know, I hear it also in German TV. I also hear them say Xi Jinping. And so it hurts my heart. Oh my God, you have experts on your hand. Why don't you ask them? Or it's also in the province you may have heard of Xinjiang. Yeah, that name literally means new border. Yeah, Qing Dynasty conquered it in well, back then in the 18th century, I think that's why it's new border. So just to give you some examples of that sound, it may be a bit. I don't know. When I learned Chinese, that was what people struggled with the most.
And so, like looking at Xi Jinping,
Yeah.
so the first syllable is XI, and is that flat tone or
No, it's Xi.
rising? Xi.
Yeah.
And then what's the second syllable?
Jin. That's coming now. The J, the J is pretty much as in English too. It's J, Jin. Yeah.
Xi Bing, and then Bing is with the P, ping.
Yeah.
Ping. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there you go. It's already, they have the syllables. It's not so hard, right?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I made a flashcard for it, so I'll have that too.
And the Q is a hard J, like Qi.
Qi.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Qi. Qi. Jing. Wait, where's this? Which syllable did you say?
The Q.
Q. Oh, I see. Okay. I know. Qi.
Qi. Yeah.
Qi.
If you spit a little bit,
Qi.
it's perfect. Qi.
Okay.
Yeah, put
Qi.
everything. Yeah.
Qi. Okay.
Cool. The Y is, as you would expect, just ya, as in
Yeah.
you would have it ya, or yeah, just that it's also a fricative, right?
Yeah. I think that I think in Sanskrit it's a semi-vowel. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's just like in any other language, I guess, like in Yokohama or in even if you take Houston, there you have the
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So now the Chinese, the famous notorious Chinese R, because that's what they don't tend to pronounce very well. In other languages, it's like
I wonder, is it because like in Sanskrit we have the vocalic R, like a vowel, and or you know, or however you pronounce it, and or like there's multiple ways you could say it, I guess. But they don't use it in that way, in like a vocalic way. It's just they have a different pronunciation of the consonant. Is that in Chinese?
Yeah, in Chinese, it's never a vowel in that way. No, just
Okay.
in. I mean, below that, I have a section about exceptions, where like special syllables that didn't fit that grid, I guess, but they're also quite rare actually. So the R is also what gives most people hard time pronouncing, but I mean, it's already sounded pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
If it goes like a bit into more like into an S or something, that's also okay, I guess. It's a, you can say you can say
Interesting. And your tongue is just up in the top of your mouth.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example, the word "ben" that means Japan in Chinese. That's one, of course, an important vocabulary piece of vocabulary.
Can you say again?
Ben.
日本.
Yeah, that's the island. The island kingdom. Oh, I even have a little. That's funny. My Chinese, my Chinese software where I can put in the character. They even have a picture of Japan there. Yeah. So that's it for the consonants. Yeah, the consonants in the back, N and are just as you would expect. Right?
Yeah.
And we can go through the vowels, the diphthongs and the diphthongs or triphthongs. I'm not sure.
Something like that. It makes sense. Yeah.
It's basically just a combination most of the time. I, ow. Now it depends. Yeah, it's sometimes it's yeah.
Is that for was that with the U?
No, the E, the first E. I put in the order A. Like I start with the vowel A, then the diphthong with A. They have the A, like way. Last time we talked about way, right? Yeah. Then the I is an E. And it's only
I keep hearing the I as like or something. Maybe how maybe you can say it a few times. I think.
E.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wrote this in brackets because the vowel, the pure vowel E, never appears alone. It's always in pinyin. It's always written with a Y in front.
Oh, okay.
That's how it is. And then you have ya, just with, for example, together with the J, it's jia. That means to add something, to increase something. Yeah. Then you have a diphthong, yao, yao.
Okay.
Like a meow. Yeah.
And would that diphthong also have the Y implicit behind it? Yao.
No, not in pinyin. Then the I would change to a Y, and you would have ya just written YA instead of YIA.
Okay. Okay.
That's yeah. But as I said, that would be too complex, I think, to put every detail into here, and we will be talking about syllables several times, I guess. So,
Yeah. Okay.
then the yeah, for example, leaf, like from a tree, would be yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
a leaf. That's the yeah is the name for leaf.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we
Yeah.
would say yes. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
In classical Chinese, you can just write yeah, and everybody knows about it. But in modern Chinese, you mostly need like 2 syllables. Otherwise, people will, yeah, what? Yeah, there are so many yes.
I see. I
So,
see. Okay.
yeah, there are
And that's in the simplified writing system. Or you're just saying with the pronunciation, yeah.
No, yeah would be classical Chinese because you write it down. It's only written and only read today. But in modern Chinese, I want to say yeah would be when you speak it. So there's always there's this reflex. Yeah, no, that's just not understandable because there are so many syllables and so many words that have the yeah inside that you need some compound making it a noun. And then also, I think I saw it also in the primer sometimes when they would just have some like shen, like a nation or democratization or something that
Mhm.
make it a noun. Yeah.
Okay.
That something is yeah. I mean, I can make a document talking about these nounifiers if you
Mm.
know that. Yeah.
Not nominalizer, I think is what we'd say. Yeah.
Right. No. Um, then that your that's quite rare. I only know one character having the your. That's jiong.
Is
Jiong.
that the IO?
Yeah. I-O. Yeah.
Okay.
Jiong. There's one problem with pinyin. O often is pronounced as a U, so it's U. Yeah. Um, for example, if you connect Y, O, and NG, so it makes not Yong but Yong.
Sounds like Yung. Sounds like a U. Yung.
Yeah, it is
Mm-hmm.
pronounced a Yong, like a U, like a U. Sorry. Yeah, pronounced like U. U.
Okay. Okay. But that's not all the time, or is that
Nope, that's not all the time.
okay?
That's as I said, a big problem with pinyin. It covers up a lot of differences that you just have to then learn by heart. Just to know that. Wei Giles is a bit more precise, but of course, to learn it takes a bit more time.
Okay.
For example, if you take without a suffix consonant, you take mo, and it makes more. It becomes or more kind of, or yeah, it sounds a bit like the French moi.
Moi. Okay. And so you're saying just the 2 letters
For example,
MO.
yeah, mo, for example, yeah, mo makes for example, I had a friend once, her name was more, and that means bubble, because then she can then all colors of the rainbow she can reflect or something. That's pretty poetic thing.
Oh.
Chinese name more. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. And that's interesting.
Then you have OU, which is mo, as you would expect. That's O.
Oh.
Give me some mo.
Some Mo.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh,
Um,
and then U.
that's just a like lu. Lu means way. Yeah, this one word for way. Mu, zu. Yeah. Wa, why.
Why? Makes sense.
Yeah. Um, yeah. War, for example, in Guo, that means country. Guo.
Cool. Is that like kingdom? I think is what I have that as. It's like in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that
Exactly.
the same word that you're thinking of as country? Okay. Okay. Good to know. Wherever that is. I'm going to bind this book, I think. It's too much stuff. Yeah, cool. Also, country. Here we go. Great.
And inside the box, as you call it, is the word for or, like the word and or, either or, that or, like the
Oh,
English.
okay.
So it's or inside. The only the thing inside is called or, it's pronounced or.
Oh.
That means, yeah. And
And
they the connection. Por and guo have the same vowel, but that changes H to G because there also seems to be some connection between these two consonants.
I see. Okay, so and is there a meaning connection between huo and guo?
No, that's just a xingsheng. That's just the connection, taking one part, having the sound in one. Like encirclement, a country is of course defined by some border. So the encirclement is the meaning. Yeah.
The circle is the meaning,
Yeah. Or
or
gives the meaning.
the box around huo is the meaning, or is the meaning, and then the internal is the pronunciation, but the
Yeah.
pronunciation changes in this specific situation.
Yeah. I must say it changes most of the time. At least the tone. At least the tone.
And is
Changes.
there some kind of pattern to that at all?
Um, I'm working to give you some examples so you can infer it, so you can get a feeling for it. But unfortunately, no, there's not really a pattern. It's
Okay.
just organically grown over, I don't know, 6,000 years.
The way it happens, yeah, over 6,000 years. All right, cool. Well, this is good. I feel like I'm starting to get some sense of things.
Okay.
Eat a little yogurt.
There are just two vowels left, or two parts in the middle left. And I wrote a V because sometimes when you put it in, when you type it in into Pleco, you probably don't have an U. I mean, I have it on my keyboard because it's German, but
Yeah.
the V also replaces the U.
Oh, okay. No, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you pronounce it pretty much like you would have it in uh, uh, yeah, in Tibetan, for example. The
Okay.
the body, yeah.
Okay. And then
For
with
example,
the something like that for the last one.
yeah. I mean, the only word I right now know with "ür" is "nur," and that really sounds like some powerful, because "nur" means to treat somebody, to abuse somebody, and that's kind of something with violence. So that burned into my brain. 虐待这个孩子。
Hmm.
对，
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That is quite a sound. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then the ending consonants seem pretty straightforward. It's just N or NG. Wow. That is so straightforward. Okay. Huh. And the well, I guess that's not. Never mind. Never mind.
I can tell you about like the most common syllables. I would say that are that appear all the time. Basically, there is a famous poem with just the syllable sh. So that is SHI. Sh. That appears all over the place. Yeah,
and that's in the pinyin. So I would write SHI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's the most common syllable. I don't know. There are 30, 40 characters in my mind that would take that syllable. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay.
Altogether with all the intonations, with the different intonations, Chinese has around 1,300 syllables. But the system behind it is, as you see, not that. Yeah, it's pretty simple, actually. It also makes it easy to rhyme, actually. Yeah, Chinese poetry is, rhyming is not that. I mean, cheap rhymes like house and mouse. There is a house in my mouth. A mouse in my house. Of course, that's pretty easy than in Chinese.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I assume that comes up a lot in verse. They'll put rhyming stuff in there.
It depends, I guess, because you may. I mean, that's what I read from the primer. There were no rhymes because it would sound a bit ridiculous, but they would have parallelism. And what they do all the time, what also Tibetan does, is to have a fixed number of syllables, like 4, 8. And one of my teachers even said Chinese people are addicted to this. They can't do without it. For example, when you say and so on, in modern Chinese, you would say either 等等 or 等等等等. So 1, 2, or 4. And we started then 等等等等等等等. So it makes 8 or 16 or something because
they want to complete the phrase on an even number. Is that the?
Yeah, some phrases just sound to Chinese ears just sound better when they have an even number. Yeah.
Okay.
Or some fixed number at least.
Because Tibetan, it's usually odd numbers of syllables for verse, but in Chinese, it's usually even.
It probably depends on the dynasty or what was common back in the days, but 4 I think is a quite common thing to appear. Yeah, 4 syllables.
Just 4 syllables. Wow, that's so short. Yeah.
I mentioned it. Prose writing actually sometimes have this feeling of a telegram. I arrive at washing, full stop, or something. Like all the time. Yeah, it sounds really without any frills. Just
I see.
pure information. Yeah. No. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the exceptions very quickly?
Sure. Yeah.
The there I put that. That's always my rule for all my documents. I make up. You have in front is the traditional character, and then separated by that bar or I don't know the black
Yeah.
stroke is the simplified one.
Okay.
I make it always like this because I mean we can talk about that right after that. I have an interesting example. Yeah, because you may encounter both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So first R, yeah, that is a super yeah, super common word. Earth, they would say for sun. And in Beijing, if you ever come to Beijing, that's the normalization particle.
The
And they
or the tsa?
the er,
Uh-huh.
and they would everything after every noun they would put that er. There's even a concept called erhua that means um, uh, aurization. I would call it aurization.
Hmm.
It sounds so yeah. It's just
And
purely
you're saying it makes a noun doing
yeah.
that.
It makes a noun.
Okay. But that's mostly spoken.
That's mostly spoken now.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just that you may maybe you will talk to somebody about these to some Chinese person to about the text you're reading, and yeah, they may have the dialect, you know, just to know what they or they because Beijing people are quite proud of being Beijing people, you know.
I see. Okay.
So they wouldn't get rid of their dialect. Yeah, okay, just for that. So you know that one. That's one example called syllable R. Then you have R.
R.
Yeah, just number two.
Why is this an exception?
Because it didn't fit in my grid. I have consonants and N and NG are the
Oh, because this it ends on an R.
yeah, yeah. And that's also,
Ice.
as I said, these syllables are and the following are quite rare, very rare. You encounter them almost. I mean, of course, these syllables, these words are quite common, but the syllable itself is quite rare. Then you have where you still can kind of see the ear, right? You kind of can see where it comes from because it kind of looks like an ear, doesn't it?
I guess so.
Yeah.
And that's falling, rising.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
yeah. It doesn't rise as high as the first rising tone. The first, yeah, we can. So the first would be yeah, really high, really high. The second is it's high, yeah, it's high and it stays high. The second, like the third tone, I mean that doesn't exist. I don't know any syllable with that, but just for example. And you have that folds a little bit and rises again.
And that's the caret, the on top. Yeah. And that's number three. Third.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's like flat and then rising. It's not really dipping. It's
Yeah, it folds. You know, it folds a little bit, but it's not like it's also in terms of time, it's the longest syllable, I would say. It takes up the most time. Of course, it's microseconds or something when you pronounce
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
But there's more emphasis on the rising.
It's equally, I would say.
Okay.
It's equal.
Cool.
That's my feeling right now.
Yeah.
Liao, liao, liao là, mu liao là. Oh. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll talk about that again, I guess.
Yeah. Good enough for now.
And,
so that's 3 tones, and then there's falling.
Yeah, the falling, we have the falling. R is the falling, it's the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to use my hands, really chopping R, really like a chop R.
R. Yeah. Because it's shorter.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't stretch it like R. No, that sounds good. R. Yeah, it's short. Yeah, quite short.
Cool.
And that, I mean, the last I put here are again the character for you. There are many characters, many words for you, but that is one. That's just you. I don't know if there's any whether there's any further implication, because some words for you have the implication of female you. But this one has no further implication, I guess, also in classical Chinese.
See, is this 1 second? Let's check. Come on. Of course I can't. Of course my computer doesn't want to let me. There we go. Is this not also the character for that?
Oh,
yeah, it looks identical.
Yeah, it is. But
okay.
Yeah, that's also one thing. Yeah, many characters have so many meanings.
Okay. Well, I'm going to update my card.
The characters having 20 meanings.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it and was like, I think that's that. But okay, good.
You realize that you have seen it before, yeah.
One of the few. But we'll get there. It's just time. The flashcards are really helping. Honestly, that's been a win. I don't know how anyone does this without flashcards. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have structured lessons from a capable teacher, then I think it's easier. But yeah, flashcards definitely. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're learning basically on the job, kind of, because you're doing other things, right? You can't put so much time into Chinese.
Yeah. Right now, thankfully, I have enough time that I can actually focus on it some. But yeah, eventually, no. But it's good. I'm trying to like front load a lot so that I can, once, when our kid comes back, I can start to, go a little slower and not be stressed out about it. Cool. Well, thank you for the syllable work. That was really good. I think. Is that, and you have at the bottom, NG is an interjection, depending on intonation, conveying different meanings. What is that?
It's just to give you, just to make it complete. It's like, sometimes Chinese people make like, or if they don't understand or want to, or sometimes, yeah, I understood. I received your information.
Hmm.
I do not necessarily agree. You know, that kind of
Yeah.
confirmation
Mhm.
sound.
And it's just the nasalization, no vowel.
Yeah,
Hmm.
just using your
Ah,
um,
okay. Hmm.
and maybe in a in direct speech, also in a text might appear that might appear.
Okay. And that would be recognizable as its own syllable. Hmm?
Yes, but it, as I said, yeah, it depends. I think it's written. I can give you the character. I didn't look it up because I never wrote it before, actually. Oh, yeah, it's that one. Uh, yeah, it's that one. Um, yeah, but all all syllables I would say are important. Yeah, I mean Chinese, of course, has many dialects. Um, but these syllables are the syllables of, as I say, Mandarin Chinese, and nowadays also ancient texts, as you're going to deal with, right, are pronounced in modern Mandarin Chinese
Hmm.
because nobody wants to take the trouble to actually find out how they were pronounced back then,
Hmm.
or it's just not possible, I guess, because everything about that is lost. As we, for example, in Latin, don't know really whether they rolled the R, as in cicero or cicero, and nobody knows that.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Interesting. Okay. All right.
I think it's a convention among the academia, but also yeah, when I listen to some monks, for example, reciting the Heart Sutra in Chinese, it also, yeah, they pronounce it the modern Mandarin way. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, do you want to look at the numbers or do you have more to say about syllables? I'm sure we're going to keep talking about syllables for probably weeks and weeks, but
Yeah, maybe what's also very quick, just an example to give you a feeling what the difference between traditional and simplified characters are or is. I gave you the. Oh no, I didn't give it to you. Just wait a second. I just picked. Huh? Oh, okay. Um, the first few sentences of the Wikipedia article of Ananda,
oh, what
and
is what's the difference with the first and the second paragraph or there?
there are no differences. I mean, in the words are the same, but
Uh-huh.
to give you to read the first, I mean, it's not so much of a problem, right? But it's some old English font, some old writing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the other one is um, standard Times New Roman.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Nice.
also the feeling when you scroll down. That's the feeling you have when you read, or when I read traditional characters. The first or the third paragraph is traditional, Chinese. Yeah, you see.
Oh, that's fascinating. And they use the quotation marks in the simplified or in the modern. You would call this simplified or modern? Or
The fourth
yeah.
is modern, and they use quotation marks. Yeah. The other one is maybe influenced from Japanese because these characters are mainly used in Taiwan, and Taiwan is heavily influenced by Japan, so they may have took them up. These brackets without, these, I don't know, not curvy but rectangular brackets.
So like even just looking at the name Ananda in Chinese, like the first syllable looks the same between the two.
Yeah.
And then the second syllable, is this the pronunciation syllable or is this the two syllables together are the pronunciation of the Sanskrit? Would you pronounce it the same, like anda or something?
No, they simplified. Sometimes they break down some name, or they, for example, when some name is too long, but it still has to stay recognizable. They just say, in this case, Anan.
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 Okay.
Apparently, for the Chinese Buddhist community, that was enough to identify Ananda.
And what is the phrase that follows his name? It says great, I think great maybe, or strong, great, something.
That in fact means Devanagari. That means Tianchang Wen. So
I see. Okay. And then what's the third one? Is that
the third one that doesn't need to bother you. It's just it's Juyin. That is some transliteration system only used in Taiwan. That's using some other characters to type it on some devices. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to give you this example so you can maybe look at that. Sometimes traditional and simplified are the same. Sometimes they are a bit different, and sometimes they are a totally different thing.
Yeah, a lot of them look the same. A lot of these letters look identical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Fortunately.
Yes. Yes. Fortunately is right.
You have to learn it like 2 times. Yeah.
Well, I'm focusing more on the classical, and then I think I'll probably settle ultimately with some of the modern, but I want to memorize the classical stuff.
Yeah. That's the best way to start, I think. For example, there's in the second line, the second character. That's E. It means to translate. And when you look at that one in the traditional characters, and when you look at it the simplified, that it's way easier to write.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Yeah, I think so. It's right before the what is this? The little box with the line.
Yeah, that is an indicator that now some spoken part follows.
Right. Yeah, because I have this one's in my deck, and I think it says say or something. Tell. Yeah.
You also can, if you wanted to translate it, you just can translate it as a column, indicating now is following direct speech. That's also okay.
Okay. Cool.
I mean to say, they were speaking to the king and said, I don't know, that's a bit redundant, and yeah, just put a column there. So it's basically its function.
Yeah, but sometimes they don't use that to preface speech or a quote. It's not always. But they usually, well, I mean, it's really convenient. They use the brackets for speech or for the quotations. Like Tibetan is not helpful. You just get the che or che after, and it's like, okay, well, where does it start? Great.
Yeah, but that's, I think, the work of the editor, because before there was no such thing. There were no brackets, no columns. That just didn't know that.
Yeah. Wow.
You really
Okay.
had to, you really had to look at some particles, and we may look at some structures that, yeah, that quite strongly indicate the end of a sentence. What is a sentence actually, right? Because different languages have different, yeah, concepts. Modern Chinese, for example, sometimes a comma for them is like a full stop for us. And I would say that doesn't belong. That piece of information doesn't belong to that one before, but they still put it just separated by comma. I don't know, for some reason. And yeah, but before they just wouldn't do that. They would just reduce their particles. So that's why they're so important.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. This document's really interesting. Yeah. There's so much more similarity than difference. I like, there's only a few things that I noticed that are strikingly different.
I mean that specimen I picked here, maybe yeah, I mean it's an authentic example, but some characters are just, you wouldn't recognize them. You just wouldn't
Yeah.
recognize them when you saw them next to each other. But this is kind of what, yeah, what it is like.
And these are, so I'm looking at these two characters. Those are the same. Is that to hear or listen? Yeah. Okay. And that's the simplified version, the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, the second, you see a door. There's a door around the ear. It's like somebody's
yeah.
spying on you, right? Or
And
like,
so these are that both of those arise in the list of radicals. So there's the door radical that's around it, and then the ear radical. I think the ear is a radical.
yeah, it is.
So, but then you have two radicals in one. Is that, I don't know what I'm even asking, but like in Tibetan, there would only be one radical, like never more than one. No.
Yeah, but you see, to hear got something to do with an ear. So in this very yeah, visual way Chinese make up their writing system, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. There, for example, there's also I only can write because the traditional characters, I don't know, it says it doesn't work for some reason, but okay. For example, that word means occupation or some job. In the first character, you see an ear, right?
I'm gonna make it bigger. Hold on, so I can see it. So small on the chat. Yeah. Let's see here. The ear, where'd it go? Oh, come on. All right, now I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
So the ear is on the left.
Yes.
I see.
The right is then for pronunciation, but a job, you know, you have to listen to somebody's orders to perform certain duties. So that's a story you can make up from the syllable, from the character. Chinese many times works like this. As you would have when to listen. Yeah, it's maybe somebody behind the door trying to listen to you. You can make up these stories. It also makes it
Sure.
more fun. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's like the only way I can manage to memorize the characters is like he's picking up something or he's like there's like a lot of lines going out. It's chaos or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That to play with these radicals. I mean, you can try to even make up your own characters, maybe if you're a bit more experienced with them, and maybe you are lucky at recreating characters because you start to understand how they're made up. So, I don't know whether there's anybody using that method teaching Chinese. Yeah, okay. Okay.
And what kind of practice do you do to like I try and write with my pencil, try to practice drawing the characters. Do you think a pencil is the right instrument to do this with, or should I use a pen or a brush or something?
Yeah, if you want to use a brush, of course, it would be the most cultured thing to do for Chinese in Chinese eyes. But yeah, just use what you're comfortable with. Really, you also can. What is it? A pen like that's steel, made out of steel.
A pen?
Yeah, a pen. Yeah, I guess so.
Are you talking about like a dip pen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
yeah,
And that would work well.
Yeah, I think that is what Chinese school children would use for the beginning.
Okay.
But then they would use, and I think there are billions of them used every day in China and thrown away again, like some black ink ball pen.
Okay. Just like a rolling ball pen.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I got a bunch of them too.
Yeah.
Because it's the most convenient thing to write Chinese characters with.
And they would use for like if I use a dip pen, I have I have like a bunch of different nibs. Yeah. Would it be like something like that, like very, very sharp at the end?
I mean, yeah, that would be good for a start, I guess, because then you don't have such a thick stroke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you don't want the thick stroke because I use the thick stroke when I do like Tibetan calligraphy, the wide one. Big. It's almost like a brush.
Yeah, but maybe for a start, not trying to be too artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe first.
I have no ability to be artistic with this stuff. I can do Tibetan calligraphy because I practiced a ton, but this I have no idea.
But of course, you can try.
And okay, so then in terms of the strokes, do you go mostly left to right with your stroke?
As a general rule, you would go from left to right and from the top to the bottom. Yeah.
Top to bottom. Okay.
Right.
Good.
And is it for you? Yeah, might be this direction, right?
I think it's the opposite. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you seem like you're going across me. Yeah. All right.
Because it's mirrored, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right, top to bottom. All right, great. Yeah. Let's see. Do I have any other questions? There was one. About there's a possessive particle. I forget where it is. And I thought it was maybe similar to the genitive, function, because there's no there are no like genitive or ablative things in Chinese, right? Like that's not the way that they do it. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's our scheme. They don't use any of these Latin. I mean, it's all from Latin, right? From
Yeah.
Latin state. No, they don't use that. I mean, nowadays maybe they would try to explain things by this, but normally when I learned it, they would say, it's the construction with that character, because characters they would look very specifically on functions of characters and how they're used in certain sentences and what is okay to say or what is right to say, because there's so much freedom in Chinese. Of course, you can follow the rules, but yeah, when you listen to Chinese people, sometimes you think they don't know any of these rules. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, there are. One very important. When you talk about genitive, there is that is a connector.
Yeah, that I think is what I was talking about. But it could also mean is z, z, j, yeah, j, and but I think I learned it as it.
Yeah.
But it can also be a connector.
It can be a connector. Yeah.
Okay.
We can think of it as a genitive s, like as in English. I don't know, Henderson's, the s, or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Put that on. Adjust my. Anki is being annoying. It doesn't want to let me do it. All right. Well, we've covered a fair amount of ground. Do you want to do more, or how are you feeling about? Been here for like an hour and 20 or so.
I mean, we can talk about numbers if you want.
Sure.
We got some more 20 minutes. Yeah.
Sure.
I think, yeah, numbers are a thing in Chinese you have to get used to. I mean, I can make a little quiz next time. We can walk through it, and then I give you a quiz.
Cool.
Whether you penetrated, let's say, the way Chinese make it. It's a bit weird. I mean, I've been learning the language for 5 more years now, but still sometimes, what is it? I have to calculate still. It's
sure.
yeah. When you open the document.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
All right. I mean, there you see most of them until 1000, everything is fine. Until 1000, there's no problem. Do you want to pronounce the numbers in Chinese?
I just ate something, so. Bad moment to eat something, but. All right. So we have ye, R. 二，
二，
一，二，三，
嗯，
四，
四，
四，yeah, that's
啊，
that.
那是四，
四，啊，五，六，七，
maybe back to six. It's 六，
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 六，七，八，九，
九，
九，九，
九，
九，十，
十，
十。
这
That
个也是
that that I is always
Yeah.
on.
And then I have them in brackets, the next two, because they're rarely used, but you may come across them sometime.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, the A is pronounced, yeah, it's nyen in this case. Nyen. If it
Yeah.
wasn't
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sa.
yeah.
Sa. Yeah. Which that one's pretty easy. Bai. Bai.
百，
Bai. 间.
千，
间.
千
间.
yeah, that's okay.
All right. I try again. No. Ye. 二三四五六
六
六。See that? But the I E eel六.
it makes you, yeah, 六
Okay. 七八九十十十
十
十
十
十年年
It's a fourth tone, yeah. Yeah.
年撒白白 is it 白
The I is not so pronounced. It's 百.
白
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
白尖
千
尖尖一二二一二
，yeah,
一二三四五六
六
六六
，yeah,
七八九
九
九九十
十
十年仨百百
百
百
啊，
见见
千
Okay. Okay. I'll practice more. Yeah.
All right. Then
Cool.
there you see how they make it up. Like when there's a smaller number in front of a bigger number, like a 6 before 100, then you multiply it. And if the number before, like of course you need to know where the units are, right? the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, it becomes quite clear. 992 8453. I mean the pinyin. I separated them by a blank, so you see. I mean, there's not much to explain there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. That's pretty clear. At least conceptually. I'm sure when I come across it in a text, I'll be baffled, but at least right now it makes sense.
I think if you when you're more familiar with the characters, you would just automatically calculate the number. It's like for me, yeah, sure. That's written there.
Yeah. Cool.
And then I wrote a little note. On the one hand, Chinese numerals avoid exceptions like team numbers, right? Why don't we adapt that too? Why is English like about 12 and not 10 too? Because that makes sense, kind of.
Sure.
On the other hand, when there are many digits that are not zero, that becomes quite long. As you may see, of course, we just write the Arabic numbers, three numbers, three letters or characters or whatever, and Chinese needs 5 for them. So nowadays, Chinese use Arabic numbers.
Okay.
Very formal settings that they use. For example, for year. For years, sometimes they would use Chinese characters.
Okay. Cool.
And now I call it Chinese numbers change pace. I hope that makes sense. Because now Chinese kind of, instead we have 1,000 and we have 10,000. I mean, we can go through it. Instead of counting like 10 times 1,000 for 10,000, Chinese counts 1 time 10,000 because they have a unit for this. See?
Yeah. Do they even say ye with the one? Or is it just one? Like I can see one or R1, then it's like 2,000, right?
That would be 20,000.
20. Oh, right. Yeah. 20,000. Right. Of course. But do you need for the yi one? Do you need the yi? Is that important?
Not necessarily. In writing would be clear, because if you don't write anything, then it must be 1, because 2, yeah, you would have to write it. Yeah.
And then they would sit.
Then it goes on like this. You would have 100 times 1,000 is in English, like 100,000. But they would say 10 times 10,000. So it's 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah. And like this, it goes on 1 million. So it's 100 times 10,000. By what?
And then if they said one, is that a billion then? Or no? No, because what is?
No, because they have still more units between that. A billion. What did you say? What did you say? A billion? You said.
Yeah. So the 100 million, the last one.
Yeah.
Is yi is 100 million.
That's 100 million. That's like the next step, let's say. I mean, we go through the tens, right? We have like powers to 10, but they or then million in English it's billion, trillion, and so on. But they take wider steps. Let's say they take instead of 3 zeros, they take 4 zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
how it is.
Interesting.
If you want to know, then, for example, 1 billion would be 10 亿, because that's 10 times 100 million.
Yeah. 10亿. 10亿. 10亿.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Cool.
then you have 百亿, 千亿, and normally in Taiwan they would have the last one, the last syllable, the last thing, 兆. That is,
Oh, Zhao. Yeah.
that I think is 1 billion. And then enough zeros. Yeah, I guess.
It's over 1 billion. I think that's 1 trillion.
Oh yeah, in English it's true. In German it's a billion. Yeah.
Oh, of course. I'm sure in British English it's probably different too.
Okay, so yeah, that's a trillion. Yeah, that's a trillion.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And you may come across that, I think, because maybe they would talk about all the living beings, and there are so many, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That are all the number characters that are used. There are more that are nowadays used for security reasons, for banking. Maybe they're used in these ancient texts too. I don't know. I did look them up. Maybe you come across them, but there is a just for you to know, there's a second set of characters for these numbers. Yeah.
And when you look at the characters for the numbers, they look really distinctive to you. They look like numbers. They don't look like anything else. Okay. Yeah. Because that's kind of the same thing with like Tibetan syllables for numbers. Like I see it now and I'm like, it looks like a number to me. Yeah. I don't know. Like, even if I don't remember what the number is, I'm like, that's a number. All right. Yeah. Okay.
The from 1 to 10, that's just no way making any mistake there.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to try and memorize those.
Yeah, I just put in some more notes. Japanese and Korean have the same number system, so you now learn the Japanese and the Korean number system too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
3 with 1 stroke.
Yeah. And then on the second page, maybe you come across that fractions in Chinese. They are exactly the opposite logic, I would say. They put the denominator first and the numerator second, and with a genitive phrase they connect them. So you have 2 分之一, so it's 1/2, because of 2 parts you take 1. And,
but that's not the symbol for 1. Oh, never mind. I see it now. I see it. Yeah. So the 2 syllables in the middle, there's the and then fen qi is the of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fen means part. So you have 2 parts connected by genitive particle here. So 2 parts 1. Like, yeah, right.
Okay. Cool.
And the same way you create percentages. So it's just 100 parts. So 9 parts of 100 is 9%, or 100. 900.
Cool. Well, that's great. And thank you for making this up. That's a really useful resource. I'll definitely work on memorizing numbers. I'll build some cards for that here soon. Cool. Well, that's probably a good place for us to tie up for today. Really good lesson. Here,
okay, I hope you learned something. I feel it's a bit chaotic, but of course, who am I to draw up I just can give you on certain topics. I can write a document and give you and explain it, but of course I don't have like a broad plan. Yeah.
Well, once we get, I think, once I get a little deeper into the primer, because I'm only in like lesson 4 right now. Once I make it a little deeper, I'll probably have more serious questions about things, and then that I think will open up topics for us. So I feel pretty good about it. I'll go ahead and stop the recording if I can. Where is it? Stop.